the globalists play the first fight. Well, I mean, Mar-a-Lago. I'm baffled that this is the front page. Do you guys support the hospitality global party, or do you accept all of that? Oh, it worked like a charm on you guys. Let's go, Brandon.
How about that intro?
It's a show.
That's serious. We are back by popular demand and coming in with a hot intro.
Damn, we are.
Yeah, almost
so
official now.
professional.
So, I mean, I was trying to go down this Rothschild rabbit hole for the past few weeks, and but we just kept getting all these comments and emails and stuff saying like, "Hey, where's Brandon and Humberto?" And
where are they?
We're back with a full team.
We're right here. We have a production team. Jeremy's in the back. Jake is in the back.
Yeah. We're like a fully armed military arsenal ready to
too many to name. Too many people to name.
Up, not swearing. Right? Okay. So guys, today I'm going to talk about probably the most disturbing thing I've seen in my lifetime, honestly. It sounds like a crazy thing to say, but the UN slipped this thing in the back door when nobody was watching this past weekend, and we wouldn't have even known about it. Literally, I was trying to search for this thing on Google once I heard about it, but the only person who was speaking about it, Glenn Beck, thankfully, and then started to make its way into X. We talk about the Great Reset, but this is literally the Great Reset. So that's the most important thing going on today by far. We're going to talk about that first. Then we're going to go over what happened with Trump and Zelenskyy today. They had a few funny moments. We're going to try to read some body language and see what's going on between them two. And then our new special segment that I think is going to do pretty well. It's called Worst Take of the Week because, it's kind of overwhelming to watch everything that's said in a given week and say like, wow, that was definitely the worst thing I've heard in 7 days.
And we were wrong. We were wrong.
Yeah, no. So I for the last 4 days, I'm like, yeah, we have a winner. Give it to this guy.
We have a winner. We're convinced we had a winner, Brandon.
Then at the last minute, somebody that you might recognize swoops in and he wanted a shot at the title.
We're never going to run out of material for the segment.
No.
It's always out there.
Yeah, so, and hey, guys, this is the type of thing that send us your worst take of the week if you find these, because like it is not a one-person job. It's not a two-person job. It takes an army to find the true worst take of the week. So definitely flood us with your worst take of the week going forward. And next, somebody that a lot of people know, respect, maybe even love. I don't know, love might be a stretch, but I'm convinced that he's a Fed. And this is somebody that I, at one time, thought was the smartest person in the world.
Literally, I quote him. He's the smartest guy in the world. I heard it myself. He said it.
Yeah. I thought he was the place to go if you want to understand things about economy, military, politics, agriculture, like any crazy, complicated thing in the world. I thought this guy was the guy to go to, but now I'm over 50% convinced that he's a Fed. So that's upsetting, but it is what it is. Next, it's a funny thing going on with, there's always a funny thing going on with government spending, but, we saw what happened with the Trump letter that came out, but then you're never going to guess what the government's doing in response to just a threat against one of their establishment people. It's like if you didn't already think that, okay, yeah, they clearly want to, let the worst happen to Trump and protect their own. Like this is a resounding reinforcement of that theory. So,
yeah, if I didn't know any better, Brandon, I will say they print the money.
Yeah, it almost feels like they do sometimes. And then we have a funny segment later where some of the craziest things we've heard and some of the weirdest people that we've seen this week. So we're going to get into all that. We might talk about some Israel messing up, was it Hezbollah now?
Yeah.
Hezbollah. I'm trying not to swear. I keep almost swearing.
8 minutes, Brendan. Just make it through.
8 minutes. So we're going to maybe talk about Israel messing up Hamas today. I don't know. And then some funny, good vibe videos. But let's get right into it. The UN. 3 things that were included in what they just did this weekend. One of them is called the Pact for the Future, which is an initiative that seeks to establish a comprehensive global government system that integrates policies across various sectors, including finance, social issues, and emergency response. So one of the craziest things that I saw about this, dude, is that they're trying to redefine GDP. So like normally you look at an economy and say like, yeah, its GDP is XYZ. It's going up or down by this much. And that's like the indicator of how good the economy is doing, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty
standard
thing. It's been like that for hundreds of years. I mean, maybe 100 years. I don't know.
they're starting to make the claim that the GDP is not the best way to measure the economy because we're not putting in enough social and equity factors into it.
Sorry, Brandon?
They're starting to say that the GDP is not the optimal way to measure the growth or the health of the economy. They're saying that there's not enough social and equitable variables measured in the GDP.
They're going to change it to happiness per capita.
Yeah, so they're trying to like tie the ESG score into the GDP.
And it's going to be measuring victim points.
Oh, well, it'd be pretty bad if they're going to measure it that way. But yeah, so that's one thing, and then the next thing is they're trying to put this stranglehold on AI, and like they hate what happened with the internet. I don't think they ever intended for the internet to get as out of control as it did in terms of everybody having access to it, people being able to easily distribute information from person to person. But I think they're gonna definitely make sure they don't let that happen with AI, or they're gonna like die trying at the very least.
It will happen. AI is a powerful tool.
But you think they're gonna be able to control it though?
I don't think you can control anything. If drugs they make it into like high security death row prisons, controlling.
I don't think that's an accident though.
You think they let it do it? I don't know. But
yeah, I thought I red pilled you about the drug world recently.
I just want AI to get rid of them.
Who?
AI should get rid of them.
Who's them?
I don't know. We're gonna find out. That's what the show is about.
Imagine once AI reaches singularity, it like identifies. It's like, oh, okay, there's this cabal that's making everything crazy and miserable. And if they weren't here, then everything would be better.
Imagine it just get demolished.
Yeah.
First week.
Yeah.
This is bad people. Let's get them out. All of them out.
Boom.
Send them to Mars.
So, I mean, I think something like that has to happen because I think they're in like a state of desperation because they wouldn't be acting this aggressively if they weren't, at least I think.
I don't know if we like I didn't get to this point, but I think they're in a stage that is delicate because they know there's numbers to rip everything apart.
Yeah.
Like if AI gets out of control, if their one world government gets out of control, there's enough savages that don't really need to know anything. They just bring a hammer and fix the problem.
Well, yeah, it's really a matter of like the biggest thing that freaks them out is information being able to go from like one large group of people to another large group of people seamlessly.
And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, just because of X and a little bit because of Rumble, but I mean...
Can you imagine if X wasn't bought?
Can
you imagine the world we live in right now?
Yeah, it'd be 2021, 2022. Remember what that was like?
Yeah. Do you think the laptop thing would have gone out?
No. Dude, I don't even think we would know that Trump got shot in the ear if it wasn't for X.
100%. I think that would have been suppressed.
Remember those initial reports?
I know. Like the first 2 or 3 days, they wouldn't say it was an attempt.
Yeah.
And they had video evidence. They had how many people were there? Like 1,000 people watching.
More than that.
And we still don't know anything about it, Brandon.
Well, yeah, they cremated the kid like illegally.
They cremated him?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that? The FBI cremated the first shooter's body.
So that's it.
Yeah, done. Boom. Poof. Case closed.
So they hosed down the roof.
Yeah.
And they cremated the kid.
Yeah.
Nothing happened here.
Like it should be the show Dexter. Remember the show Dexter with the serial killer?
But that
who
cannot be legal. Like,
the
remains of the shooter of was it JFK?
Go deeper. What?
No.
What remains?
He's still alive, right? I mean, the alleged shooter.
You mean RFK?
Yeah, RFK.
Sirhan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still alive.
He's alive, and the other alleged shooter.
No, he's dead as a doorknob.
All right, but they kept those remains
again.
They kept those remains for a long time.
Well, yeah, there's still. I believe JFK's skull is still like into the National Security Archive.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How funny, right?
Yeah.
So they're willing to keep a body for like 40 years, and this kid gets cremated immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, right?
You know, I heard Tucker say. I was listening to his interview with Rogan, and he said that when he got somebody who had the classified stuff in the JFK files to tell him one thing, and he's like, yeah, all right, I'll confirm the CIA was part of it. And then Tucker started talking about it in Fox News the next day, and he said he gets a phone call in his car from somebody in the intelligence agency saying, hey, just so you know, whoever told you that's like, what do you say? It's an act of treason or it's a federal crime to disclose classified information. He's like, oh, so you're telling me that's a federal crime to disclose information about that our government was connected in killing an elected president?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he say it on the show?
Which
back when he was with Fox.
well, yeah, when he was with Fox, he said the information that the guy gave him. Like
See,
the guy
if that
confirmed.
happened now, we will know about it immediately.
Yeah,
Immediately.
yeah.
That is crazy. So he kept it quiet the whole time.
Tucker or the guy?
Tucker.
No, he said it right away when the guy told him.
Oh wow, what a champ! I like
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, 100%. But then the CIA or whoever tried to call him and say that they're gonna, put that guy in prison. The guy who told Tucker.
Is he in prison? He must be in prison.
I think Tucker would be making a bigger ruckus about it if he was.
He should have him on the show.
Yeah. Oh, you know who it was? He said it was an assistant from Mike Pompeo who called him and threatened him.
What do you think about Mike Pompeo?
Oh, evil.
All right.
Yeah, 100% evil.
You want to go over the website that they...
The UN website?
Yeah.
Let's breeze through it. I
Because the
feel
thing
like
is, Brandon, these things are so crazy. They're just so out there that if people don't see that it's an actual website...
that's true. Let's see if it says anything crazy, because I've been trying to, I feel like they wrote it in a fluffy way, but let's go. So September 23rd, world leaders yesterday adopt a pact for the future that includes a global digital compact and a declaration on future generations. Okay, so a declaration on future generations doesn't sound great. The pact is a culmination of an inclusive, years-long process to adapt international cooperation to realities of today and challenges of tomorrow. The most wide-ranging international agreement in many years, covering entirely new areas as well as issues on which agreement has not been possible in decades. The pact aims above all to ensure that international institutions can deliver in the face of a world that has changed dramatically since they were created.
All right.
The craziest thing about this that everybody keeps talking about is that the emergency platform thing, where if like in a state of emergency that they get to define the Secretary General, who's a confirmed socialist, the Secretary General of NATO, or not NATO, UN gets to basically be the president of the world.
I mean, the crazy thing is the first thing you brought up,
Which
that
one?
it was a silent pact.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first crazy thing.
You mean the voting part of it? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the audience? I'd be outraged.
So the way this thing worked, they're calling it like was like a silent vote or an abstain vote, because it's not that they voted for it, but it was put on the floor and nobody voted against it.
Yeah, so they get the vote for omission.
Right.
It's crazy
Yeah.
talk. Now, the three parts that it has the pact for the youth,
Right.
the pact for the future,
And the
the
AI.
and the AI. The global emergency thing, it's insane. It's the least democratic thing I've seen in my life.
Right. And I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, how many soldiers would you guess that Blue Helmet Army has? Because like if you get deep into like the conspiracy iceberg world, they always talk about the Blue Helmet Army.
Well,
You know about the Blue Helmet Army?
I do know, and it works differently, Brandon.
Uh-huh.
I had a friend that he used to be in the military, and most of those guys, they work for a normal military.
Right.
Like, let's say the military of Argentina, whatever.
Yep.
And they get deployed by the UN with the blue helmet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they do missions. So, for example, my friend was in the mission to Haiti, and he worked for the Chilean military, but he got deployed there with a blue helmet.
Okay. So they don't have anybody who exclusively works for NATO.
I have no clue.
So this little AI generator on Google says the United Nations has more than 97,000 uniformed personnel from over 120 countries serving as peacekeeper operations. Personnel comes from blah, 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 blah. All right, so yeah, they have like 100,000 soldiers. And, I mean, I just don't like the fact that we treat them like they're the boss of the world. But this is really the, what is it? This is really the goal that's been in place, not just for 100 years, but for decades. Like this whole globalism concept, I went down this rabbit hole before. It's probably going to be the series after the Rothschild series, which is coming out later today, by the way. So the globalism thing, it goes back all the way to Plato. Like back at that time, they were always talking about this like utopian globalist society. So it's like been this fixation of the elites for thousands of years.
I'm in this sense, and it's funny that we bring this up because this is when you start thinking what power is,
right,
and what a government is. And I describe myself as a minarchist because I think countries should be smaller, governments should be smaller, and less people should be ruled in smaller groups.
Right.
Because it's just so unfair. Like, we have no say. We pay money, and we have no say on whatever they want to do.
Yeah, well, we don't
No say whatsoever.
We don't
Like
bother our people enough because, if our congressional representative got 3,000 emails and, 700 phone calls in one day about this one issue, they would have to mention it.
I mean, this is a pretty big issue. Like some guy,
It's the biggest. It's the
some
Great
guy,
Reset.
Some guy, if he thinks something is disruptive enough, he can call on himself like global powers. And this is funny that they're putting in writing because that's what happened with the last global emergency that we can't mention
Yeah, you want to get triggered?
all the time, Brandon.
So click on the link I just sent you. It shows the personnel contributions by country versus the funding contributions by country for the UN.
All right, let's see if Jeremy pulls it up.
Yep, it looks like it's up here on the screen.
All right,
Unless I'm just seeing yours. So see that top one? That's personnel, right?
all right.
Don't see the U.S. there in any big letters.
All right.
Where's the hell's the U.S.? Nowhere on that.
So France, Spain, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, South Africa, Ghana, Tanzania, Uruguay.
But a shit ton from these third world countries.
All right. So that's
And then funding contributions, of course. What would you say? That's like 25% of the funding?
Wow.
Yeah, so we're paying for this shit, and we're not even represented in it. So that's why people say that if the UN ever wanted to do something that we didn't want to do, they could come in. I mean, our freaking army better not let that happen.
Brandon, this is insane.
Right?
How many congresses is this?
How many congresses?
Yeah.
What do you mean congresses?
Because this is like a congress. Like they get salaries, they sit there, they vote, and they do all those things, like staffers and whatever.
Yeah.
And here, like just quick math, the big countries is around 5,000 to 6,000. I don't know how many people that is.
Who, for personnel?
Yeah.
66,000 or 67,000 says.
Jesus Christ. That is there it is.
Yeah.
That is a lot of people. And I don't think they're making bad money.
They're not making bad money?
No.
No, I mean, it's like a NATO thing. It's like a slush fund. But what they just did essentially makes the UN the most powerful institution in the world as far as visible institutions go, because, like I was saying before on Unusual Suspects, the power structure of the UN, NGOs are the ones who sort of set the policy for the UN. They're the ones who get people elected to the leadership positions of the UN. And then for the NGOs, they get pushed around by who their biggest donors are, and their biggest donors are often people like Bill Gates, Soros, and then the invisible forces that we don't even see. Like I'm sure the Rothschilds are in it, because this all started in this century with the League of Nations, which, can I swear now?
Sorry?
Are we past 8 minutes?
You can't say it right now.
Yeah, like this disgusting, treasonous piece of shit, Woodrow Wilson, amongst many other things that destroyed America. He started the United Nations, or the League of Nations, and that wasn't his idea. That was the idea of this guy named Colonel House, who was like pretty much the acting president at the time. Look at any literature on Woodrow Wilson. Even his biography constantly mentions how this guy was basically the acting president. And the reason that's significant amongst many is that this guy, Colonel House, he was put in that position by the Rothschild family because his father was made rich during the Civil War by the Rothschild family, because he lived in the South and was like one of the main people in the South, one of the only people that were able to get rich during that time, because he was executing orders for the Rothschild family. So they knew he was a trusted agent in America. So his son becomes the real president under Woodrow Wilson. So all the shitty things that Woodrow Wilson did were because of this guy, Colonel House, and then through proxy, because of the Rothschilds.
That doesn't excuse him from being a piece of shit, though.
Woodrow Wilson?
Yeah.
Well, imagine the blackmail they probably had on him.
Oh, that's how they do it. They build you up, and then they have things on you.
Yeah. But so this whole concept, like just that pattern right there, that shows me that they were fixated with the idea of becoming a one world government, or leaning towards like this League of Nations UN type of thing, where we're like a one world globalist system. And so that naturally asks the question, like, all right, are the elites on board with this? Yes. Okay, so which elites are still on board with this today? We know the obvious ones that go around saying it all the time, but then we probably have these like immensely wealthy people that we don't even know about that are pushing this behind the scenes. Because
didn't George Soros go against it?
No, he's in favor of an open society.
And that's part of the UN.
Yeah, open society is globalism.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Who else is there?
For what? As far as powerful people?
Yeah.
Well, Rothschild definitely, and well, honestly, the Committee of 300's behind it, because like remember those 21 steps of the things that they wanted to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the number one is a one world government with the one world currency.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
and you know, like when I was debating that socialist kid, what's his name? Who the socialist kid I had on for a debate? You remember his name?
I don't remember.
It's not a
him.
good look. But when I was debating him, like the one spot that really got him stuck on more than anything was when, because he was all saying that the reason that communism is good is because you could trust the government more than you could trust corporations. And I'm like, okay, well, are you in favor of a one world government? And he's like, oh no, absolutely not, because they would abuse their power if it was just like a small council of people like deciding what happens to everybody. I'm like, dude, that's exactly what communism is.
That's what happened.
It's just global communism if you have a one world government.
What did he say to that?
He's like, oh, I didn't really think about it that way.
Well, he should start. Well, if he was thinking, he wouldn't be a communist.
I know.
Oh, Jesus.
But
Brad.
he knew a lot of stuff, which is the concerning part, that you could like know a lot of stuff about how the economy works and still arrive at that conclusion.
And how does our leadership feel about this? You know, the Obamas, Hillary Clinton. Does she have anything to say?
Yeah, no,
about
well, they're
this?
like not even real people. They're just like, you know, facades or puppets like that are carrying out the orders of the people who want these things to get done. Like that's why Trump is such a scary, volatile thing for them, because like I don't even think he expected to become president. Like he was just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm the shit. I could do this. Like let's see how good I could do.
Could they pull out?
Who?
Like if Trump goes like, okay, this is over, it's done, we're out. Thank
Can we
you.
pull out of the UN?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I was wondering that earlier myself. Let me look that up quick.
Like, I
Ask
mean, pulling
ChatGPT.
out, Brandon, would be super easy. Be like, okay, we're going to start paying now.
Well, I don't even know how much money we give to it. Can we pull out of the UN? Well, it's buffering. So what would the downside of that be, you think? Like, what do we really get out of the UN?
Just stupid rules and censorship. I don't know.
Like a single positive thing.
A single positive thing.
I'm really trying to think of a single positive thing that's coming out of having the UN.
They run cover for all these socialists. That's what they do. I never seen anything
No,
positive.
it's
come out
just
of it.
different branding for global socialism.
Yeah, that's what it is. Global social.
Global socialism. All right, so ChatGPT says, yes, the United States can theoretically withdraw from the United Nations. This would require an act of Congress, as the U.S. joined the UN through a ratification of the UN Charter by the Senate in 1945. If Congress were to pass legislation to repeal the UN Participation Act of 1945 and formally notify the UN of its intent to withdraw, the U.S. could exit the organization. However, such a move would have significant global geopolitical and diplomatic implications, as the U.S. is a founding member and one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council.
Well, if they pull out, it's done.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
that's where all the money comes from.
That's what it is.
And we basically tell Europe what to do and tell Australia what to do and tell Canada what to do.
Like from the chart that you made me pull up, it's
Yeah.
a quarter at least.
And if we pull out, I'm surprised Germany gives that much. Oh wait, no, that's a few different countries. Still a lot for Germany and France.
I mean, that's Europe in general.
Yeah.
I don't know. About
What's the
this.
gray? The rest of world?
Yeah, or what Trump likes to call them, shithole countries.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing is, like, they shouldn't even be shithole countries, but we don't allow them to build nuclear reactors. I mean, that's like a whole big thing that book said about the Committee of 300, is that they depend on giving foreign aid to these countries through the IMF and like getting them in the debt traps, because you know when you get them in the debt trap, you could extract their natural resources when they can't pay that debt.
Well, China is doing that with the Belt and Road.
And they saw how effective it was.
Yeah, they did it to Sri Lanka. They did it to not Singapore. They did it to a few other countries, and it's terrible
Mm-hmm.
because they give them money that they know they can never pay back,
Yeah.
and they're cooked. That's what it is. It's over.
Mm-hmm. It's like the housing loans in the 2008 crisis. Like you go from like a 3% interest rate to like 7% to 12%. They probably like gave them a floating loan or something. But yeah, no, I like on paper this is terrible, but I feel like if the people are against this, then the UN shouldn't really have much control over the United States. Like, and it wouldn't if the people actually took a stance against it.
And I'm surprised when you said that just with Senate we can get out.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always say, like, I want to run for president someday, but it would mean nothing if we don't have a Congress that we could trust. Just like with Trump, if we don't have a good Congress in there, then it's worthless to have
Well,
this president.
I'm actually worried about Congress right now.
Oh, because that rule you were talking about?
Yeah, I'm worried. Basically, they want to pass a constitutional amendment. So when someone goes into Senate, goes into Congress, they put a list of 5 people that could replace them if anything happens to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny that's happening right now. You were saying before you think that's because like they're worried about a mass assassination attempt.
Well, things are getting really hot, Brandon.
Yeah.
Do you think things are getting hot?
Super hot.
Like,
they don't get they don't get any type of security, do they? Maybe like
they
one
do get security.
Was like one person?
Yeah, probably 1 to 2 people detailed. Depends who it is. Like it changes and they need to approve security details. That's what happened to Trump right now. That they just passed a law and it was all, everyone got on board to give Trump more security.
Yeah.
Because they know if anything happens to that man or anyone, if anything happens to Trump or anything happens to Kamala or anything happens to Biden or anything happens to a high-profile Senate or Congress member, things are too hot right now.
Yeah.
They're way too hot.
I almost think they're excited about that. Like certain people are excited about the notion of things being like that hot at a boiling point.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you, Brandon, and it's not good.
Like, what type of people would be excited about that? The people who want to tear things down to build something back up in their vision?
Well, who was that Congress guy that probably 2 months ago that there was an interview?
The one you like?
Which one? No,
Savage?
No. It was a Democrat saying that we're heading to civil war.
Oh, Raskin?
Yeah, Raskin said that.
That little turd.
And then that FBI whistleblower that came out like this week also said that.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all.
No.
Like I thought we live in a civilized country.
No, I mean they're trying to make us uncivilized. Like there's not a reason in hell why we should be divided the way that we are, but it's a tactical operation that they're doing here.
But they keep on feeding both sides just crap. It's unbelievable. Like they find things to separate people and make them, angry.
Yeah, because if we had 2 seconds to not be divided and see who's actually screwing us, those people would be screwed.
Oh yeah, they will be screwed. Like it's like it's a house of cards.
Like think about how badly they're swindling us. Like in the 1920s, what was it? The guy who created the Ford car, Henry Ford. Yeah, thank you. He said that if the average person understood how the banks operate, there'd be a revolution by the morning.
Well,
and the banks were much more stable back then the way they ran than they were today. Like you actually needed reserve requirements back then. But when COVID happened, the Fed completely removed any type of reserve requirements for banks.
Like I haven't met a single person, Brandon, that understands how they work. Like not even deep understanding, that kind of gets a picture how they work.
Yeah, it's a lonely feeling.
Yeah, that is not bitter about it.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
So I went from like so the book The Creature from Jekyll Island?
Yeah.
I read that book and like don't read that book if you want to like have a nice happy life, because it's vital to understand it if you want to understand the world, but it's like the ultimate money red pill book. Like after like I got 3 chapters in that book and I drove quickly to the bank and withdrew 10 grand and like bought gold immediately.
Well, that's what it is. Like if everyone understood how fragile everything is, there wouldn't be so much tomfoolery going around.
Well, we're kind of getting into a rabbit hole here, but I don't mind it because it's an important conversation. So people make the argument, like, is it even possible to have a financial crisis if the Fed doesn't allow it to happen? Because what happened in 2008 is, this is a crazy story. So you know how it was Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns that went out of business in 2008?
Yes.
So during, the S&L crisis, the savings and loan crisis in the 1990s?
Yes.
So the banking cabal, they get together during the savings and loans crisis, and they're like, all right, this will make us all look bad if it goes south. Let's pull our money together and bail these guys out. And the only 2 who didn't do it were Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. And they said, if you guys don't get in on this, we're never going to forget it.
And they never forgot it.
No, they let them fucking die. Oh, all right, past 8 minutes. They let them fucking die in 2008.
And
think about all the other banks got bailed out, but they didn't get bailed out.
Can we talk about that, how they got bailed out? Like every time we get close to that subject, I'm still bitter about it. What was it? Was it 800
billion? It's a drop in the bucket now.
Yeah, it's a drop in the bucket. They all got bailed out. They paid themselves like millions and millions for their good performance after they had the whole country on their knees. I can't even.
So here's what it was. So you ever see the movie Too Big to Fail?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, you know what I'm talking about. For anybody who hasn't seen it, so what happens is they give them that money. They give that money to the banks, and they say like, all right, we need to flood the system with liquidity. So we need to give the banks this money so they could lend it out to people to stimulate the economy. Because the biggest problem during the Great Depression was they didn't have access to credit, right?
Yeah.
So like, so like at the end of the movie, it's all somber and they're like, oh, phew, all right, like everything's gonna be fine now. And he's like, but what if the banks don't lend out the money we gave them? He's like, no, they have to lend it out. Like, why wouldn't they? And shit, what do you know? They didn't lend them out, and their CEO packages got much bigger.
Yeah, that's
their
what
stock prices went up. They just started doing stock buybacks, but didn't lend out anything.
What do you know, Brandon? What if people knew? If they paid attention, like I don't know.
I want to teach a master class about banking. But I don't know if anybody would watch.
Do you remember 2000 when it happened?
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a big deal?
Yeah, huge. Everybody's freaking out.
How long did it take, like after the bailout, for people to forget about it?
Well, Occupy Wall Street went on until like 2011, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that they like threw what was it called, like false flags or whatever. They were trying, like that was a peak nervousness time for the establishment, because that was a bipartisan thing. You know, it was both Democrats and Republicans and young people who were marching on Wall Street pissed off about that. So that was a solid 3-year thing.
Well, I think that's the closest we ever gotten to like getting to the point.
Yeah.
You know? Getting to where it hurts.
Right. The unfortunate thing though is that like, so that was 800 billion, and then we spent 6 trillion on COVID, and we got people still thinking that stimulus checks were a good thing. Like a one-time $1,500 check in return for permanent prices doubling.
Well, that's the Keynes for you. That's what happens.
That's what?
That's Keynes.
Keynes economics?
Keynes economics.
They love that guy.
They love that guy. You know, they want to spend more money, and they think that spending more money and printing more money is the only way to get out of things. There's actually a very interesting paper of someone that studied the Great Depression.
Oh yeah.
And they came to the conclusion that if they did the opposite of what they did, it would have been gone much faster.
So like the opposite of the New Deal?
Yeah, but the thing is austerity. Like nobody wants austerity.
Oh, they don't have the stomach for it.
Nobody has the stomach for austerity, but it works. You can see Argentina right now, Brandon. They're pulling back on everything.
Yeah.
And they're figuring out.
Things are turning around.
Things are turning around.
Yeah.
We can't afford this. Hey, this is the 8th movie about, a gay landlord. We can't do that anymore. Not with government money.
Interesting analogy.
Huh?
That's an interesting analogy.
That is a funny analogy, but I don't know, Brandon.
Well, so, I mean, all right, last thing, and then we'll transition. You want to have your mind blown quick about the Great Depression?
I have my brains ready, Brandon.
All right, so in The Creature of Jekyll Island, it says that the Great Depression was not an organic thing, but in fact, that Britain was so battered by the war, by all the money they had to spend on it, and the U.S. was like just thriving because all the money from World War I that was spent went to the U.S. because Europe had to take out loans from the U.S. to then turn around and buy the things they were taking the loans out for from the U.S. So we were getting double paid. So money just flooded in, giant wealth transfer. So we're in a position of strength. UK is in a position of weakness, but it seems like we're still UK's bitch because of the people who are the powerful people over here. Long story short, they arranged a deal between central banks where we basically like siphon off money from the U.S., gold reserves in specific, to change the currency rates, and we like injected strength into UK and took strength out of the U.S. So it was kind of like a blood transfusion.
Well, and
that resulted in the Great Depression.
That is crazy, Brandon.
Yeah,
but the thing
not
is,
organic at all.
It doesn't surprise me because this is a business model now of like betting against yourself, siphoning money, and then buying back whatever you destroyed.
Yeah, on the cheap.
On the cheap, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
They bring something to the breaking point. They lend money to fix it. It goes down. They buy it cheap. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it's a great business model.
It is a business model. They've been doing it since Napoleon.
Mm-hmm. They sure have. Speaking of Napoleon and warfare. Oh, actually, I do have a good promo for that. So speaking of Napoleon and warfare, tonight or tomorrow we're dropping episode number 2 of the Rothschild series I'm doing. Everybody was hyped about the last episode. Thank you for that. So this episode's going to be about how the Rothschild family caused the French Revolution and a step closer to explaining why I think they control America today. But next topic. Trump and Zelenskyy met today, and I thought this clip was funny. There's a lot of footage out there of them interacting, but look at Zelenskyy's body language when Trump's speaking right here. Let me know what you think about it.
Let me get the clip.
Let's roll it.
Jeremy? Good. Okay.
All right.
Roll the tape.
Let's roll it.
And I will say I have had a great relationship. It was very honorable. I don't even know if you know this, but when they did the impeachment hoax, it was a hoax, just a Democrat hoax, which we won. But one of the reasons we won it so easily is that when the president was asked, it was over a phone call with the president, and he said he could have grandstanded and played cute, but he didn't do that. He said, President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. He said it loud and clear, and the impeachment hoax died right there. He could have said, well, I don't know, I don't know. And I never even told you this, to be honest, but he was like a piece of steel. He said President Trump did nothing wrong. We had a very nice call. He congratulated me on his victory. You just won. And I remember that. He could have played cute, and he didn't play cute. And so I appreciated that. So we have a very good relationship. And I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved.
So, first of all, I love how he has like one self promo per sentence.
I want to do like a football style breakdown of this clip, Brandon.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so he says 3 sentences, and at least like half of those words are stuff about like how he was right and the other people were wrong.
Yeah. He's like, oh, we have a great relationship because
he stuck up for me.
Because he stuck up for me.
Because they were wrong.
Did you see the body language of him?
Zelenskyy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he like tensed up when he said Putin.
I know. You see his hands.
Yeah.
They tighten up.
Yeah.
He looks like this looks like an ISIS video of like a hostage. But
well, do you think he's there just because he thinks that Trump might win now?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They
Wait,
need
who made the invite? I don't know if it's public information or not, but who made the invite?
Do you know this?
No, I don't even know if it's public. We're just guessing.
I think there's an agenda, and I mean, I think he's not putting all the eggs in one basket.
Zelenskyy.
Yeah,
what was it like earlier this week? Was it that Trump said he's the greatest money salesman in the world or something?
Yeah.
Greatest what? Fundraiser?
Yeah. It's a difficult one, Brandon, especially for him. Like, have you seen the amount of people that happen to be Democrat that have the Ukraine flag and on their Twitter accounts?
Oh my God!
And they go like, "Fight for Ukraine." Even Trump's attempted murder was a big Ukraine guy.
Yeah, just like the people who have the flag that are also MK Ultra. But it's a good, I guess, filtering mechanism for red flags for if you're considering being friends or like dating people. Like if they have a pin that has a Ukraine flag, then
it's a wrap.
Run away.
It's a wrap.
Like there's not a person inside that body.
The thing is the sports team mindset that is going on right now in American politics is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone knows that Russia is not in our best interest for them, to keep advancing towards the West. Putin, whatever you want to say about him, he's looking after Russian interest. He's not a good guy. But he's looking after his interest,
I just don't understand. Well, actually, no. We'll play the worst take of the week before I start getting into my rant about this. But I'm interested to see. We'll look later who initiated this meeting because I think like you said, Zelenskyy at this point has to kind of be prepared for both situations. I don't know if Trump really benefits from this too much. It's just like making him look like a bigger person, I guess.
It does, and he gets a lot of criticism on his position on Ukraine. That is my position too, to stop the killing.
Remember how they tried to frame him? They're like, do you want Ukraine to win the war? When in the debate,
Yeah, and
Like,
he
what
was
the
like,
hell kind of a question is that?
he goes like, I want to stop people dying.
But like,
That's what he
what,
said.
what a stupid question. Like, what does that mean? What,
No,
what does
I
it
want
look like?
Russia to take over.
Like, what does it mean if Ukraine wins the war? Does that mean they destroy Russia?
That's the thing, Brandon. We went to a supermarket the other day. I was like, what does it mean to win? I don't think these people have a definition of what winning looks like.
Yeah.
Like, is keeping the territory? That's a win for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they keep the territory and the map looks the same as 2014, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, or if they just maintain their youth male generation or population, I think that's a win at this point too.
It is a win.
Because that's pretty much gone.
So, not having Ukrainians die, is that not a win? I don't know.
No, it's better than right now. That's what it is.
It is better than it's a bloodbath.
All right, so go to that clip that is our contender for worst clip of the week. This was the undisputed champion until minutes before the podcast. So this is Piers Morgan speaking with. Oh, that one's in the email or the Slack.
Got it.
So this is Piers Morgan having a, I guess, debate, sort of interview with John Mersheimer, great author who's wrote a lot of books. They
call them adversarial interviews now, Brandon.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what they call them.
Adversarial interview. Piers Morgan, John Mersheimer. Go.
All right.
Is important because you're saying the moral thing to do is to stop the slaughter of the Ukrainian people. They don't agree with you. The Ukrainian people want to fight, and they want to fight to the end. And that should be, to me, their moral right to make that decision for themselves. And I just cannot get my head around why it's morally correct to let a Russian dictator go and do what Putin's done and win and keep what he's stolen. Why is that morally right?
Because there's nothing that we can do to turn the tide on the battlefield in Ukraine.
There is.
We do
There is, though.
not have the ability.
We could give them the missiles they want.
Missiles are not going to make any difference. The idea that giving them ATACMS or Storm Shadows is going to turn the tide on the battlefield is not a serious argument. The Ukrainians are doomed. What really matters here are the number of troops, the number of artillery pieces on the front lines, and the amount of air power each side has over the battlefield. And there, the Russians have a decisive advantage, and that advantage is increasing by the day. And there's nothing we can do to reverse that. The Ukrainians are doomed. And given that the Ukrainians are doomed, the best thing to do at this point in time is put an end to the war. That's a morally correct position, at least from my point of view.
I don't agree. And I'll tell you why. Would you have said the same thing about the British in World War II?
No, I would not have, but those are not analogous situations.
Why? We were under existential
As
threat
you
from
well
the
know,
Nazis.
the British won the war because the British
Because
had
we
the
ignored-
Soviet
because we
Union and the
ignored
United
people.
States on their side.
Yeah, because Churchill said he wasn't going to accept that we were necessarily doomed.
He was correct, and the end result is that he won the war. But
So
he won
why
the war
could-
because
why
he had two
couldn't it be-
powerful allies who
Right.
got directly involved in fighting against Nazi Germany.
Right.
That's not going to happen in the case of the Ukrainians.
So why
we
is-
are not going to commit ground forces to come to the defense of the Ukrainians.
Right, but so my question about the morality of that is actually why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? If this was a NATO country, we would.
It's not clear we would, but we probably would. But the fact is we're not going to do it. And the fact that we're not going to do it tells me that the morally correct position is not to fight to the last Ukrainian. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to fight to the last Ukrainian.
I want them
If
to
there are
have
no
the- no, I want them
Ukrainians
to have
left,
the
that
right
doesn't
to
bother
do it.
you because you think that's the morally correct position.
No, it's because
that's not my idea of a morally correct position.
Well, it's because I've been to Kyiv, I've met the people, and they've made it emphatically clear to me, all the people I met of all ages, that that's exactly what they want to do. Yeah, they do. They want to fight to save their country.
Look, if you look at public opinion polls, they're at odds with your statement that every single Ukrainian wants to fight to the last.
I just said everyone I
Ukrainian.
met.
That's not true.
I'm not
There's
saying
surely
every-
some who do,
but
and
the
I'm sure
vast
these are the
majority
people
of
that
those
you
polls
talk to.
do support
But the
what I'm
fact is that even if that's true, even if they want to fight to the last Ukrainian, from my point of view, that's not the morally correct thing to do.
Right, but how can it be morally right to let a Russian dictator win?
What are you going to do to reverse it?
Help the Ukrainians repel him.
What are you going to do to reverse it?
Well, you help the Ukrainians repel Putin in a brilliant way they've been doing for 2.5 years against all expectations. They have massively exceeded all the doom-laden predictions of the first few weeks and months of this war. And I think we should support them in the way we've been doing by giving them everything they ask for. Let's be honest about this. What Putin does, he just waves his nuclear rattle and he terrifies people. But every red line that he set has been crossed. He said, if you give them tanks, that will be a red line for me. We did. He didn't do anything. He said, if you give them aircraft, air fighter jets, that's a red line. We crossed that red line. Nothing happened. And so on. There is no evidence that he means any of his saber rattling about nuclear weapons because he knows the moment he uses a nuclear weapon, he's dead and Russia's vaporized. That's a reality. And I don't know why we allow ourselves to be held ransom by this monstrous dictator who just thinks that a nuclear deterrent means he can just go, I'm going to nuke you if you don't let me do what I want.
I mean, my God, where to begin?
Jesus Christ, the level's stupid.
Like, that's how these people are thinking about this. They're taunting Putin, saying, "Oh, he's just threatening us with nuclear weapons. Like, why are we gonna act like that's a serious threat? He hasn't done it yet." What?
Jesus. They're Brandon, I don't even know. Like, the point of comparing what happened in England in World War II to what's happening now in Ukraine, it's just like, it's ridiculous.
Well, like, why are we overlooking the fact that we overthrew their democratically elected government in 2014 because they wouldn't let us put missiles there? Like,
Brandon,
our CIA did that.
Brandon, it's more simple than that.
Is it?
It's more simple than that.
All right, simplify it.
If the U.S. went head to head, no Ukraine, no bullshit, just head to head, full military full Marines, full Navy, everything, head to head with Russia, that will be a difficult war to win. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, if
we-
Afghanistan
if we-
was a difficult war, then yeah.
If we use all our military might, all our resources, everyone, women back into the factories, men go to fight, like full out.
You're saying
war.
take nukes out of it?
Taking nukes out of it. Like I don't even want to touch that point yet. Like if you take every single resource to fight a peer-to-peer war with Russia, the U.S. will have a very hard time to win that war. Very hard time.
Well,
all right.
Well, yeah, because it takes a lot to win a war. I mean, look at what happened in Iraq.
So how delusional this guy is that he thinks that with a little support on the side,
yeah.
a country way smaller has a chance.
Yeah, we throw some missiles at them. What?
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make a dent.
And he's overlooking the fact that, like, if for some crazy reason we were able to get in a situation where Ukraine had the upper hand and Russia was on their back foot, he thinks that that's a winning situation, that Russia's going to be like, oh, okay, you won, and we give up. What?
Like,
They're running out of normal missiles now.
Brandon, the amount of death. Like, we're talking about millions, tens of millions. Like,
we're lucky that Russia's winning this, though. Like, that's what people are overlooking, too. Like, in terms of, like, the greater good, like, it sucks that this thing happened, but if Russia wasn't winning and if Ukraine was actually invading Russia or pushing Russia back, putting them in a position of
well,
vulnerability...
they are.
And
in a very small, contained way.
But if they were in a threatening way, then it'd be a much more dangerous situation because then nukes would be on the table in a much bigger way.
These people are crazy. They don't understand war. They don't understand money. They don't understand resources.
Can't think of a single thing they do understand except for how to say crazy things on TV.
This is crazy. It's crazy talk. Who's the other guy?
Mersheimer, he wrote The Israel Lobby.
All right.
And a bunch of other books.
This is crazy talk. This is crazy talk.
Yeah, I didn't think he... I mean, Piers is kind of he doesn't say crazy things. He's like, he tries to act rebellious because he'll take like just enough of a contrarian position but it's not against the mainstream narrative. You know, like he never goes against the dangerous narrative to go against. Like he always stays in line with the establishment narrative, except for the things that aren't that big of a deal to go against. You know what I mean? So he tries to like make himself seem like a rebel, but never goes against the establishment with like the things that they really care about.
Where's the position? I don't want to die, because I see pro-Russian positions and I see pro-Ukraine positions. Like, where's the I don't want death and destruction? Like, who's the voice for that, Brandon?
So open up some of the links that are on this document, because so first one's going to be the encroachment. So we have a few charts here. One of them is going to show like the year by year of why Russia's doing what they're doing. I think this is probably the most telling chart, because this whole thing is because we were trying to put, long-range missiles in Ukraine, so like the equivalent of Russia putting long-range missiles in Mexico. So you can see here, the dark blue is the 1949 NATO countries. The slightly less dark blue, 52 through 82. See, we keep moving over and over and over to the right. And then by, 2023, we're almost all the way up against Russia, and then we were trying to put stuff into Ukraine. Now we're talking about making Ukraine a NATO member. And for people who don't know, the rule in NATO is that if a member gets attacked by a country, it's a war against all of them.
Is it the Article 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah, Article 5 or
Article
7.
5 maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's that rule that if you're a NATO country and you're getting attacked by an adversary, then that's an attack on all of the NATO countries.
So I mean, oh man, like people I know and I'm around, like people that I will go all out defense. Like my brother, I will go all out defense.
Yeah.
You're one of my closest friends.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I can name 4 or 5 people that I will go all out defensively. Tell me like, oh, this guy, whatever, let's go.
Right.
But a guy that I met 10 minutes ago, like to put my country at risk and go all out to defend you, especially when they're already at war. This is like taking an insurance policy, Brandon. This is like taking an insurance policy after you had a car crash.
Exactly, but them trying to become a NATO member now, yeah. Like, because if they did become one now, that would put them in an automatic Article 5 situation.
It will. Like, it's literally, like, it's calling progressive, like, hey, I just had a car crash. Can I get insurance for that? No.
No, you got in the accident already, dude.
And I feel extremely bad about these people. Like,
well, yeah, because I mean, like, none of this needs to be happening. For one, like, we didn't need to overthrow their government because, like, dude. So based on what Putin said in Tucker's interview, I'm of the belief that they were trying to incite a war with Russia to keep feeding the military-industrial complex. Because after World War II, we didn't need to let the Cold War bleed out. Russia was weak enough to where we could have, taken out Russian leadership after World War II and, eliminated any chances of a drawn-out war. But instead, they made this 40-year-long Cold War thing. Then when the Cold War ends, the Soviet Union collapses. Russia said that the Soviet Union Russia was ready to create a pact with NATO, because the whole reason NATO existed is because of the Warsaw Pact, to be the opposite of that. But the Warsaw Pact dissolves, and then Russia apparently, according to Putin, was ready to have peace talks, be part of the pact. We say no for some reason. I think that was under Clinton, and then we drag out this whole Ukraine thing, and here we are.
That's the thing. This might take. I mean, and I want to push you a little bit on one thing.
Okay.
First of all, you think if they didn't overthrow the government, would it make a difference big enough?
Well, we've done a whole lot since we've put our own puppet in there.
All right. So you think the situation will be better?
Yeah.
But come on, sell it to me. Why?
Well, because the guy who was in there before, was it Ramoshenko, or I forget if Ramoshenko is the one that we installed or the one that we overthrew, but the whole reason that he was overthrown is because he didn't want anything to do with NATO or anything to do with NATO weapons being in Ukraine, because he's like, you guys are crazy. What the hell are you doing? You're going to antagonize Russia. We don't want that. And so,
well, that was part of the pact, that they weren't going to move east.
Yeah, but clearly they were moving east every single year for the past 50 years.
That was a promise that they weren't going to move east.
NATO, right?
The NATO.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is a bad take, maybe. I'm not personally against NATO.
It just doesn't have a point if we're not at odds with Russia, which we had a chance to not be at odds with Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed.
I think NATO lost its purpose, that was fighting communism. It lost it a long time ago.
They're pretty communist themselves, too.
That's what happens. It lost its purpose, and then it overextended who's an actual ally. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because let's say Spain, Germany, the UK, Norway, all those places is reasonable. It is reasonable.
Yeah.
Is that Turkey in the bottom?
I think so. Yeah. Because Turkey is a NATO member. They're in that weird situation where they're part of NATO but anti-Israel.
Have you seen the crazy talk that their president's been talking lately?
Yeah, he wants to form anti-Israel Arabian pact or Middle Eastern pact or something.
Yeah, it's crazy talk.
Yeah, that's heating up while this Russia thing's going on.
And then I don't know, Brandon.
Can you pull up the other links quick? One of them's Wall Street Journal and one of them's Statista. The Statista one shows that U.S. has spent double the amount of money giving aid to Ukraine than the European Union has. Or is that European Union? Yeah. The European Union's a bigger economy than the United States. People often forget that. That the EU is bigger?
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah, with
that.
all the countries combined, I'm pretty sure it's bigger. Bigger GDP.
But it could be.
Let me double check that.
We need to fact check ourselves before we wreck ourselves.
Basically, why is Piers trying to put pressure on the United States to give more money when Europe hasn't given as much money per capita at all, like half the amount, and then UK is all the way down there at 13?
Here's the chart if Jeremy wants to pull it up.
How big is...
Brandon.
Yo, I'm looking up how big is EU's GDP.
All right, let's save the chart.
So EU GDP 19 trillion. All right, so it's a little bit smaller than the US.
Yeah,
but still, that doesn't justify half the amount.
It's comparable. It's comparable.
Yeah, US is like 25.
All right, let's break down this chart, Brandon.
So the blue is, what is it? The blue is military aid. Or no, the blue is economic aid. Financial. Blue is financial, dark blue is humanitarian, and gray is military. So the vast majority of it's been for... So look at all the military spending that we've given towards them, and EU hasn't given them shit for military.
Nothing.
It's because they're...
Zero. Literally
their
zero.
military evaporated after the end of the Soviet Union.
Germany, 10. United Kingdom, 8. Japan, 0.6. And Japan doesn't...
It looks like we're pretty close to have given more than all the other countries in the world combined.
Let me do the math.
It's 39 plus 14 plus 13 plus 9. And then once you get down to 1.
But it's blowing my mind, Brandon.
Oh, really? Why? What'd you think it was like?
Oh, I thought it was pretty like I mean there's countries that are a lot closer to Ukraine and it must be in their best
Like it
interest.
impacts them more.
Yeah, it impacts them more. They're in the same continent.
Yeah, like Poland, whose border's touching them.
But if you see the graph, Brandon, I'm gonna ask you. You're a smart guy.
Okay.
What do you think militaries are foremost spending there?
What percent of military is what?
Why do you think the military spending of the U.S. in the Ukraine war is the top spending item?
Why do I think the U.S. is the most military?
Yeah, we send more military aid than
Yeah, like weapons and stuff.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because we have more.
And
Because they're buying them from us.
yeah,
Yeah, because we have that sweet military-industrial complex here.
yeah, and we need to get rid of old weapons to get new weapons. We need to battle test weapons.
Another interesting thing too is like we keep seeing all the stuff that the stuff we're sending them is kind of useless.
It is useless.
So we're spending almost $1 trillion a year on military stuff that isn't even functional anymore.
Well, you brought it up on like the last show that we did.
The 30 trillion thing.
Yeah, the 30 trillion thing.
Dear God, yeah.
And then you brought up the drone warfare thing, Brandon.
Right. They're making drones in their garage that are rendering our $1 billion drones useless.
I know. So what are we doing here?
We're overspending on things that aren't functional.
And the goal on this guy, English guy.
Piers?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't express like the amount of things I disagree with him on here, because like the concerning thing is like he's an establishment guy. He gets his opinions and talking points from the establishment. So this is what those people think. This is how those people are thinking. Like the people who are like all gung ho about helping Ukraine. So there's the people who are in on the secret and the people who are just the useful idiots. He's a useful idiot, obviously, making the moral argument. But there's the people who are making a shit ton of money from this. But then there's the useful idiots that the people who make a shit ton of money are telling what to say.
Brandon, I'm 100%. No, I'm like 80% sure that this could be solved by talking.
Yeah, it could be solved in one day.
Yeah, they sit down, they talk, peace negotiations. They've been stalling and trying to, I think there is a peaceful exit to this, and I think that's the only exit, Brandon.
Talking out, I think we have to just give Russia the portion of Ukraine they've taken already, and then call it a day.
That could if they talked earlier, that could have been avoided.
What, this whole thing?
Yeah,
but I don't think they wanted to avoid it though. I think they did everything in their power to make it happen.
It is crazy.
You don't think that?
I mean, allegedly they even sent people to boycott the peace negotiations.
Yeah, but I'm saying like from the beginning, I think that the people who actually have influence in the world, they desperately wanted this war to happen, and they were pissed that things like this didn't happen under Trump.
I can't confirm nor deny. Like it wouldn't be past me, but it is a tall claim, Brandon.
What do you mean it's a tall claim? How else do you explain this? You saw that chart. Why are we encroaching on them?
Because I think there's been animosity between them since the beginning of time.
Who?
The Ukrainians and the Russians.
Yeah, but because Ukraine was part of Russia under the Soviet Union. But they weren't going to invade Ukraine if the U.S. wasn't trying to put missiles there.
I don't know. The thing is that thinking like a Russian is very difficult, Brandon.
Why do you say that?
Because they operate in another level.
What, you think they're smarter than America? Probably smarter than Americans.
No, and sometimes their objective is not to win. They are willing to take an L.
Like appear weak when you're strong, the art of war type of thing?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they play the long game, Brandon. Like most of the wars, they've been successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a meat grinder. They're willing to sacrifice half of their army just to make a point. And you can have a very successful campaign against Russia, very successful campaign, but they will just bring more people.
But they're not necessarily winning that whole thing. Like they're, think about it, they lost like 20 million people during World War II. They lost like 40 million people under Stalin. Then they lost like 10 million in World War I. Imagine what their population and society would be like if it wasn't for all of that. And those are all men too.
Yeah. But right now, they're back to making babies. I don't know if you read the news lately. They're encouraging for them to make more babies.
Yeah, but their chart looks terrible. Their demographics chart.
Oh, it's looking terrible.
It's like a dead tree. It's like tall up here and then like skinny at the bottom. I think we have like 15 minutes left, so let's try to rapid fire through the next one. So, like I said, I thought that Piers was the undisputed champion of the worst take of the week this week, but at the last minute, we had another contender jump into the race. So, you want to go ahead and show our surprise contender?
King of the bad takes?
Yeah, and then we'll let the audience decide who is the worst take of the week.
No contest. All
What?
right. Huh?
What do you mean no contest?
You can't beat this guy. I haven't even.
He comes out swinging here.
Yeah, no. You told me about him, like that he could be the undisputed champ, and I didn't even doubt you. All right.
And you're mind blown by what Pierce said. So
Yeah, this is gonna be way
all right.
worse. All right, Jeremy,
listen
we're
to
ready.
this. Listen to this.
Spite of that, meaning the mainstream media is not who you think it is. The mainstream media truly leans right.
Maybe.
When you're second in command, you do what your boss tells you to do. He delegates authority to
But
you.
the border was supposed to be her.
Yeah, but it's still the same thing. It's his policies. What he said to her was, you go down and you use diplomacy to try to improve, to try to reduce the flow, the migration of people across the border, right? And when they finally came around, and it took too long, I agree, but when they finally got there, now look at the results. It didn't take a wall, but yet the crossing numbers are where Trump's were when pre-pandemic, at the same number. So it worked. So what she did actually worked.
We can look at exactly what happened. He's already been president. And we can look at what happened when she was vice president. And it's not good, the comparison.
Being the president, Joe, as you know, is different than being vice president. It's not close, right?
So she can take credit for the good things that happened with Biden, but she didn't have anything to do with the bad
Donald
things.
Trump
In the past, there have been Democrats that have voted not to certify.
Yeah, that's fine.
Many
right?
times.
That's fine. But
Previous elections.
none of them called their vice president a pussy and said, don't certify the election. Donald Trump, being the socialist that he is, had to beat Bernie. So Donald Trump went out and recommended that interest rate caps be set to 10%. The fact that he's even suggesting price controls and price caps is socialism 101.
You want to go to the next so we can rapid fire it?
I mean, who do you give the title to?
Oh, Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, my only question is, like, what the hell do they have on him? Because that's not Mark Cuban. That's a scared, not confused. That's a scared man who's, I think, acting.
I think in general terms, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think those are his real thoughts.
You don't become a billionaire being a dumbass of this caliber.
Do you know the story of how he became a billionaire? Like,
Yeah, I do know.
How?
He had this biotech business. And
Broadcasting.
Broadcasting, and then he sold it.
Yeah, that's the simplified version, but what he really did, so it was like this shitty broadcasting website called broadcasting.com, sells it for like $1 billion of Yahoo stock, not money. This isn't like the 2000 tech boom, right?
All right.
So he's like, all right, this is an overblown economy. This is going to be worth nothing in probably a few months, if not a year. So he does this crazy elaborate trade where he like sells call options, buys put options, and does this elaborate short where he makes sure that if the price craters, like the short will offset to be the same price as the equity.
Oh wow! So he shorted himself.
He shorted the equity that he had, but knowing that it was going to go down.
And then how do you go from that level to this? Like, can you explain it to me?
If you've done something terrible and people are threatening to talk about it.
It's unbelievable, Brandon. He's a winner. I'm sorry. That's my vote. He's a winner.
Yeah,
I let it slide because he brings voices that we like, bad take. But this guy, I don't even know.
I don't know. The only alternative to that is, like, I get the appeal of, like, being on that side of things. Like, if you're a loud, dumb Democrat who's just, yelling out the party lines, that's, like Harry Sisson, for example. Like, you know how fast we could blow up if we were willing to just, like, sell our souls?
Oh,
and,
100%. We're famous.
Blow
we'll
the
have
Democrats
Ferraris.
all day. Yeah. Like, how his job's so easy. He just like goes online and says, like, wow, Kamala sounded so smart there. Like, how, she totally crushed it in that interview. And, like, everybody in the world knows it's not true, but it gets promoted by the probably DNC funding or whatever, like Act Blue funding that, like, promotes all the posts.
How about, Brandon, if I flip the script on you? Maybe they don't have something on him, Maybe he wants something. Have you heard his latest business?
Yeah, pharma, right?
Yeah, it's pharma.
Yeah, well, if you want things in life,
that has a lot of red tape there.
if you want things in this world, you should do what he's doing. But if you want things
The world to be better.
no, if that, and if you want to have a good afterlife, if you believe in that, if you don't want to suffer in your afterlife and be judged, like then we know what the right side is, the side to be on. Like it's never easy to be on the right side of things. If it was easy to be on the right side of things, everybody would be on that side.
Yeah.
But like it's very easy to be on the wrong side of things, like where the power and the money lies.
And it's very hard to be on the other side. Donald Trump, for example.
Yeah, look at all the pain and suffering that he's gone through.
He had a hit show, millions of dollars, chilling, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, nice property, golfing every weekend.
Yeah.
Oh man, like he should not have done that.
And look how easy Obama's life looks, especially even when he was president. Like his interviews were a joke. They'd be like the media would be like in awe, like starstruck when they were speaking to him.
Softball interviews, fancy dinners, book deals.
Yeah, a ton of money
Opera.
laundering after the presidency, somehow worth $100 million.
Doing the right thing. It's
Nobody's
hard,
asking questions.
It's hard.
What? Doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
like
hard.
I said, it wouldn't be if the right thing to do was easy, and if you didn't get resistance with that, then everybody would do it. But it's obviously more appealing to do the evil stuff that makes you feel like you kind of sold your soul. But that's why different people are made of different stuff.
Do we have a minute to go full schizo?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
And then we'll rapid fire the rest for 5
All right,
minutes.
let's do it.
All right, go.
No, go. No, I want to go to a schizo.
Oh, the I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this. Oh wait, do I know which one you're talking about? Are you talking about the Fed or the theory?
The theory.
No, not that one. That one's too long.
All
Go to
right.
the spider goats.
All right.
Because we just this is just funny. We'll
Spider-
save the who's the Fed for next week. Sorry for the tease. But pause it quick. So my only question with this is, do you believe this claim that he's about to say in the next minute?
I need to watch it first.
All right, let's watch it. Jake, participate on this one too, and Jeremy.
Hybrid chimeras are gestating at facilities across the United States. And it goes on to say, part pig, part human, part cow, part human, so that they won't be rejected by the cows that are growing them. They then harvest the organs, they harvest the stem cells, and they've got facilities now with thousands of cows per facility with humanoids growing in them. And this is in the literature, and they don't like me because I go, here's the literature, but they won't let you on the basis. And let me tell you, with the spider goats 25 years ago,
Here.
I call up one of the places in New York where they've got goats that are part spider, okay? And their milk makes body armor. And I get the head guy, a private contractor in the Pentagon. He's happy. Like,
All right, you
he
can
comes
pause it.
on.
So this is him on Tucker the other night. He goes on like a 20-minute rant about, emphatically saying that the government has spider goats that their milk makes body armor and you cannot penetrate through it with any type of ammunition. And keep in mind, before you say these crazy, this is the guy who has documented calling 9/11 that's going to happen months before 9/11 happened. The floor is yours.
All right, Brandon. Here's a question: what would be scarier, a spider-sized goat, or
A goat-sized spider would definitely be scarier. Are you kidding
That'd be
me?
very scary.
Yeah.
That'd be very.
I can't think of
scary.
anything scarier.
than a goat-sized spider.
And like the fact that I trust that he gets things right more often than not. At least like his ratio is like more often than not.
I give him a 70%.
70?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact there's a 70% chance that spider goats with milk body armor is terrifying.
Would it be past you that this is real?
What do you mean it would be past me? I think there's over a 50% chance it is real, which I wish it wasn't real, but the fact that he's saying it makes me worried that it is real.
Oh wow, we're gonna go in a deep dive, Brandon.
I know. Unfortunately, we only have we have 5 minutes left. But no, we have to save this deep dive for another time. He said there's documents about this on the internet, so we're gonna have to.
We're gonna find those documents.
Yeah,
and
tune in next week for the documents.
Next week, you're gonna know if spider goats are real.
All right, so let's end with some good vibes. So down at the bottom, I have a quick chart and then a quick video, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And remember to be on the lookout for episode 2 of the Rothschild Dynasty, which is coming out soon. And if you want a deeper dive on all that stuff I do with that, with the research and my methods and everything, you can check out my Patreon. The link for that's below. So this chart shows the net loss for Democrats and Republicans for voters that are registered to the party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So overall, there's a, what is that, 393,000 gain for registered Republicans and a minus 3.5 million for Democrats.
That is a lot, Brandon.
Yeah, it's insane.
Those are election changing numbers.
Now you have to balance that out with like the millions of illegal immigrants coming across, but at least something's working out on our side.
But I mean, if you do the math, okay, let's just do a Pat style segment.
Yeah. Okay.
If you do the math, you have plus 400,000, let's say 400,000 on the Republican side.
Yep.
Minus
4 million swing.
Yeah, but you also need to think that some of the Democrats that left the Democrat Party, they've registered as independent.
Yeah, it shows that there's a million independents or 1.8 million independents.
1.8.
Yeah.
Let's say those are all the Democrats that left, that they're still going to vote.
Yep.
But if those Democrats left the party because of the candidates, woo!
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
It's a huge one.
Wow.
So I'm really encouraged to see this for sure.
I haven't seen an uplifting chart in years. This is really good, Brandon.
That's what we do here. And then the last video, this demographic seems to be for Trump. So I was pleasantly surprised. So click on the one on the left first, then the one on the right.
All right. Let me go back.
It'd be good for us to have a black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump. It'd be good.
So much more than Mark Cuban.
Yeah, that's not too hard.
Yeah, no,
maybe,
based though.
Maybe they have less dirt on her.
That's a good point. But the fact that they say kids see through bullshit.
What's the first word that pops?
Go for it with this one.
All right.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
What's the first word?
That's
Based.
it. Based. That kid is going places.
Oh yeah. So they say that kids have this sixth sense where they could see through bullshit. They could see who's like a weirdo, who's a trustworthy person, etc. So I don't know what the backstory of these kids are, who their parents are. Maybe they have Republican parents, but I don't know. CNN grabbed them and thought they were going to give them the answers they wanted. And I wish I could be a fly in the wall to see like how CNN was reacting in the producer room behind the scenes of this. And like,
no wonder they cut the camera straight to the kid.
yeah, right after the answer.
Right after the answer.
But yeah, this was nice to see that kids are seeing through the BS. Now,
very nice, Brandon.
Yeah. So that's our uplifting good vibes for the end of the day.
We might make it another 4 years.
Yeah, we just might. So, guys, thank you for tuning in today. I know it's been a while, but like I said, I've been all the way down this rabbit hole for this Rothschild thing because I'm interested in who owns America. I'm interested in who has the most leverage over America, and that's the question I'm answering in this series. So, released part 1 last week. You could find that in my playlist here. I'll throw up an icon so you could find it. Episode 2 is either coming out later tonight or tomorrow. So, stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. Love y'all. See you later.